Each and every day, enjoy the Simple Six menu at Subway, an entire made-for-you meal featuring one of 6 6-inch sandwiches like the Italian BMT or Black Forest ham, with any bag of chips and a 21-ounce drink, all for only $6. Subway. Eat fresh.
The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects. The BS Report. The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report, taping this on a Monday morning in Southern California. It's going to run on a Tuesday, so hopefully there will be no crazy NBA trades or injuries in the next 24 hours. An annual tradition on the BS Report. We don't have a ton of traditions, but one of them is right before the season, Joe House and I go over the over-under win totals of every NBA team. And we go head-to-head, and we try to figure out who's better at figuring out over and under wins, because America cares about that. Gosh darn it. Joe House, how are you?
I'm excellent. America should care because all we do is give out winners. We like to make money for the American public, at least those that care about wagering on NBA win totals.
Last year wasn't a great year for us, if I remember correctly.
So this is interesting, right? I went back, as I do every year, and took a look. You had a pretty good year. You went 19, 10, and 1.
Oh.
That's a lot of winners.
That's a lot of winners. That's pretty high.
That's pretty high. I ended up 16, 13, and 1 because we disagreed on 4, and you were better on the disagreements this year.
Oh, so I won last year.
You won, yeah. I had won the 2 previous years, and you won last year. And 19 wins is nothing to sneeze at. The reason that we had a bad taste in our mouth about last year is because we did 2 dumb things. One dumb thing we did was give 8 of our selections lock status. So 8 is too many.
Yeah, let's try to do 5 this year.
Yeah, 5 sounds about right. And we went 3 and 5 on our locks. So that's why it felt so bad. And part of that, and this is the second dumb thing we did, we both subscribed to I'm going to call it the tank narrative. I'm sure there's some better way to describe it, but we both were looking at teams like Phoenix, like Philly, and looking at their rosters and saying, look, they're poised to have historically bad seasons, and we took locks on the under for those teams. We also believed in Derrick Rose, his knee, and that was a mistake too.
Yeah, you know what I'm not going to do this year is believe in people coming back off devastating injuries. That's not happening this year.
Me either.
Let's go with the Eastern Conference first.
Let's do it.
We'll go in alphabetical order. I'm using the over-under win totals from sportsbook.com, who is not paying for this. We have to use an online betting site, so why not them?
Can't they buy us an order of wings at least?
No, it's probably like just 2 dudes in the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, right.
In their
Cayman.
mid-20s who are stoned right now, enjoying that we're talking about them.
You make a good point.
Our first one is actually, I think, headed toward being one of my 5 locks. The Atlanta Hawks, over under 43.5. That seems low.
So here's the thing. I love them at 42.5.
Did it go up a win?
It went up a win, yeah. They've been sort of, slowly trending as the season's about to start. I still like them very much, but I don't love them as much as I did. I was prepared coming in today, before looking at today's line, to give them lock status. I'm not going to give them lock status. I think they're going to win either 43 or 44 games. I love the coach, Mike Budenholzer.
Coach Buds.
Yeah, Coach Buds. I did not like them dumping Lou Williams in the offseason. I think
that seemed like that was a structural thing. Yeah, it was a structural thing. I think
I understand.
They couldn't figure out how to use him correctly, and I think they just thought it was an addition by subtraction type thing.
Yep.
They also have the German point guard Schroeder. I think they want him to play a little bit more this year.
Clearly, he's the backup to Jeff Teague. So
I'm excited to hear his accent this year. Haven't heard him talk yet. Schroeder.
I haven't heard him talk either.
You know, obviously Detlef's accent and Dirk's accent have brought us so much joy over the years. I'm excited to hear Schroeder. Oh, go ahead.
No, you finish.
Horford's back, and I was in a salary cap league with Chris Chen last night. We were G-chatting our picks for 4 straight hours as I pretended to watch my kids. And Horford was sitting there for $12 million a year, and it goes round by round, and we just kept looking at him. We kept looking at him, and at some point we just took him. But I did a little recon before we took him, and it doesn't seem like he's 100% yet. They feel like he's headed that way, but that's to me this big swing guy. If they get the Al Horford from 2 years ago, along with the other pieces they have and the coach they have, that's a 46-36 team to me in the East.
Yeah. So that sounds like you are taking the over.
Over.
And
over.
We're going to disagree.
You going
out
under?
of the box. Because I think they're going to win 43. And the reason I think that is you just gave me the explanation, right? It's a guy coming off a major injury who, missed a significant amount of time last year. He's a great, great player. Yeah. And I really love the way that this team is kind of configured. They went all in on the 3-ball last year. Yeah. How's Horford kind of fit with that kind of a scheme? We don't know because he didn't play with the team as it sort of assumed that identity. So I'm going to take the under, but only because I think they're going to win like exactly 43.
I like that team. Celtics 27.5. There's a little action on the over. It's minus 130 on the over, which I thought was interesting.
Well, that action is not coming from me. I like the under for the Celtics this year.
I'm going over for a couple reasons. I think Rondo's going to have a little hop in his step. I really like Marcus Smart.
When is he going to have hop in his step? Is he playing in December? Is he going to play in?
He said it was a 79% chance that he was going to be there on opening night. That's an actual quote from Rondo an hour ago. 79%, okay. Not 80, not 85, not 75. 79% chance.
Very specific about those odds.
I like it. Well, he's a Connect 4 guy. He knows about percentages and odds. Sullinger, I think, is going to have a really good year, and the Celts are high on him. They just think he's going to put up stats. Jeff Green, they have a professional coach. They have a coach who last year did not tank a single game and who tried to win every single game they played. The only way they tanked was in terms of like resting players, but they actually tried to win all of those games. And I think he's one of those guys that last summer was just sitting there in like some Martha's Vineyard house or whatever, agonizing over what he should have done differently in the Charlotte game in mid-March. Like, he's just one of those guys. I don't think he wants to go 25-57. So I'm going I don't feel good about it, but I think they can go 28-54, 29-53. So I'm going over.
Yeah. So I'm going under. I'm going to take them right at 27, which is a 2-game improvement over last year. The most curious signing in the offseason to me, the acquisition of Evan Turner.
You know what? I just changed my mind. I'm going under. I'm being a total homer. We're going to suck. Who am I kidding?
Just like that. All I had to do was say Evan Turner, and that turned you to under.
We have 19 guys who can't shoot. It's a whole team of dudes who can't shoot. We could put out any combination of guards who can't make a shot from more than 15 feet more than 35% of the time.
The main reason I like the under for Boston is because they have a lot of trade assets, right? We don't know what this team is going to end up being next month, 2 months from now, 3 months from now.
It's a great point.
All those bets belong somewhere else.
I would go over if you told me Rondo and Jeff Green were on this team for the entire season. I don't think Jeff Green will be on this team, and I don't think Rondo will be on this team. I think if anything, it makes more sense to trade one or both of those guys to bottom out one more year. You have all those Brooklyn picks coming. Brooke Lopez is already having foot pain. Like, those Brooklyn picks are going to remake this entire franchise.
For sure.
Incredible.
We're not talking ourselves into an under for Boston, but that's an under.
Yeah, I don't feel great either way, but I think that's an under.
It's not a lock. It's an under.
Brooklyn's 42, which seems low.
Yeah, it feels like exactly the number, right? They're a 42 or 43 or 44 win team.
Well, weren't they from January 1st on last year? They were one of the best teams in the league for the rest of the season for 4 months.
Right. So
I think they were like 15 games over 500 from January 1st on, something like that.
The catalyst for that was Sean Livingston, right? Wasn't he a really important part of them going small and having the success they had?
That's a problem because their two best players during that entire stretch were Sean Livingston and Paul Pierce. Neither of whom are employed by the Brooklyn Nets.
Yep.
They have the Brook Lopez thing. He's already battling foot pain or whatever is going on. They have KG, who's year 20 of his career, ready to be put up to pasture. They have Darren Williams.
They have a new coach.
They have a new coach, Lionel Hollins, which might actually be good from a dysfunction/function standpoint. Darren Williams coming off 2 ankle surgeries.
He's healthy. He keeps saying it.
I don't know what to make of this over because it does feel like I certainly wouldn't bet it one way or the other, but it does feel like they'll be somewhere between 40 and 44, 45 wins. But, they added I think they're going to be in okay shape replacing Pierce.
Yeah.
I like Teletovic. I think one of the Bogdanoviches, whichever Bogdanovich they ended up with, that guys might be able to play.
Bojan, no, he's not the one. He's the one that can play. He averaged over 21 points in the FIBA Cup.
Right, that guy's good.
Yeah, he can play. Yeah, I like the over for Brooklyn.
Yeah, I think 40.
Just because 43 feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, 43-39, 44 and 38, somewhere in there.
We're taking the over on Brooklyn.
And they were a shockingly decent home team last year. They had one more. Hold on, they had one more signing I liked. They had Jared Jack. Jared Jack's going to help them.
He can help them. I mean, he's not, can he sort of fill the Sean Livingston role?
He could do 70% of it. I always thought he was a little overrated, but at least from a leadership standpoint, all that stuff. And I do think Lionel Hollins is going to be an improvement on Jason Kidd. All right, so we'll go with a half-assed over for them, I think.
Half-assed over, yeah.
The Hornets of Charlotte. Yeah. I like this team. And I think they have a trade to make, and I think that has to factor in. Their over under 44.5 wins. Yeah. They added Lance Stevenson, Cody Zeller in year 2, Kemba Walker in a contract year. He feels a little breakout-ish. Big Al's back. They're going to get
Michael Kidd-Gilchrist can shoot, right? Isn't that every report? He can shoot now.
Allegedly. They're going to get the Zeller-Vonleh combo, the young legs off the bench, and I do feel like they have a trade to make. Whether it's David West, whether they can run it out Horford, you get Jeff Green. There's people out there in their salary range, in the right salary range for them. They can add another piece. I think this team ends up in the 47-48 range. Great coach too, right?
Yeah, great coach. Steve Clifford took what had been, in the bottom 3 or 4 defensively year after year after year and made them a top 6 defense last year. And it was, mostly young kids, right, that he got to buy into the idea of success by way of defense. They won 43 games last year, and they only have to win 45 games this year to hit the over. And Joe House likes that.
I like it too. It seems a little
I'm not sure I love it. We added a Lance, but we lost a McBob. So how's that sort of play out?
And he was good for them last year.
Who, McBob?
Yeah. I thought he had a good season for them. But, when you have Vonleh and Zeller, you have the number 4 pick in one draft, the number 9 pick in another draft, who play the same position. It doesn't make a lot of sense to bring back McBob. So I get it. But I thought he was a good passer for them. I like the way he played.
We're taking the over.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to look at this quickly. Eastern Conference odds. They're 25-1 to win the East. Seems about
that means
right.
Something. That means 2 things have to happen. 2 sort of cataclysmic events have to occur to Cleveland and Chicago.
Yeah,
for them to leap ahead of those 2. And I'm not even sure that they're better than Toronto yet.
I think they have a chance to be this year's Toronto. The team that we didn't totally expect to be kind of a pseudo contender.
But they're a pseudo contender. It's pretty competitive.
Well, look at how many teams in the East just aren't going to give a crap. I'm going to look this up right now.
One, two,
the Celtics
three,
will not
four.
the Celtics will try to give a crap, but ultimately won't be able to. Philadelphia is going to be horrific.
Yes.
Orlando's still a year away.
Right.
Milwaukee is still a year away, and they have too many guys, and that's going to be a cluster F.
Yes.
And I don't think the Knicks are going to be very good. We're getting to them.
Yeah, I don't think the Knicks are going to be good, and Indiana's the other team that
and Indiana's going to be horrible. So they have six below 500 or worse teams in that conference.
Yes, yeah.
So I think that factors in.
So that's 6 teams.
6 teams, that's a lot. I mean, the West only has 3 teams that we know are going to stink. Do you want to name them?
Oh, I mean, it's Orlando, Philly, and
I'm talking about
East,
the
right?
West.
The West. The 3 teams. That's the Lakers, Utah, and
Sacramento.
Sacramento, right?
And Utah might actually be a little frisky this year. We're going to get to them in a second.
Yeah, I like Utah.
All right, so we're going over for Charlotte. Chicago's 55.5. Seems high. What do you think?
Well, the thing about Chicago is they won 48 last year with a team that feels like kind of half the talent of this team. I mean, I love this team this year, but the biggest problem I have with this team is looking at the depth chart and seeing who's backing up Derrick Rose. And it's a combo of your Kirk Heinrich and your Aaron Brooks, and that's a combo that I don't like. And the reason that my Washington professional basketball team had the success that they had last year against the Bulls, in addition to the Bulls kind of like really being at the end of their rope, like physical exhaustion-wise, those guys were dead tired, was the Washingtons beat the hell out of those guards. It was Heinrich and DJ Augustine last year, and it wasn't. I mean, it was a very unfair fight. So if you subscribe to the theory that D Rose is not going to be playing for this basketball team come playoff time, then you like the under.
I'm going under. I don't feel good about it though. I just think there's too many variables with this team. Like, put it this way, they're not going to go 62-20 or 61-21, any of that stuff. So if for them to have a successful year, they're going to be in the high 50s. But if anything goes wrong, they're under that under.
So I'm taking the over.
Okay.
Because I just think that Powell, Mirotic, and McDermott, plus Tibbs, it makes them so hard for the rest of the East. That front court is so good. It's such a tough thing for the rest of the East, with the exception of Detroit, maybe, to deal with. That I just think they're going to roll to 50, and then we're kind of quibbling over, what the rest of, 6 or 7 wins that come down to Derrick Rose's effectiveness. So I like the over.
I'm going to plant this seed in your head. Tibbs now having to worry about Gasol, Gibson, and Noah what to do in crunch time every game. Last year was easy because you just told Carlos Boozer, no matter what you're doing, I'm taking you out in the fourth. And that's just the way it's going to go. Powell had a quote last week that I thought was interesting. It was some piece in the Chicago newspaper, and he was just like, I didn't come here to sit in the bench in the fourth quarter. Threw it out there. All right, well, if he's not sitting on the bench in the fourth quarter, that means Taj Gibson's sitting on the bench. And I want Taj Gibson and Noah as my crunch time big guys. That's my best defensive team. The Bulls are going to win with defense. So now you're telling me, well, Powell thinks he's going to be playing at the end. I don't like where that's going, and I'm also a little concerned about Derrick Rose 3 years after winning the MVP having to now go into this. I'm not going to look for my own offense as much. I'm here to, slash and kick, shoot from the outside, kind of save my body a little more, get everyone else involved. I'm not sure he's that type of player.
Yeah, I don't have anything to rebut those points with. I just think they're going to be eight wins better than last year. That's
okay.
all.
It's a good one. I certainly wouldn't bet on it either way, because I think anyone who bets on what's going to happen with this Bulls team has a gambling problem. You do not have a gambling problem if you bet on this next team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, over under 58.5.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine them losing more than 3 or 4 games at home this season. They will be. Well, they went 39-2 in 2009 at home.
Uh-huh.
I like this team more than that 2009 team. I can tell you that.
So do I.
So let's say they go 37-4 at home, 36-5. They play slightly better than 500 on the road. They get to 59 wins.
So here's the thing that gives me pause. There was only 2 teams in the NBA last year that had 59 wins or better.
Yep.
And that was OKC and San Antonio.
Right.
The Miami Heat, who, you would look at when they assembled themselves 4 years ago, won 54 games, 66 games, and extrapolated 57 games, and then 58 games last year. And I think that this Cleveland team is going to take just a little while to get, kind of the optimal chemistry, right? New coach, okay. A bunch of dudes that haven't played together, the very best basketball player on the planet. But I just think they're going to drop a handful at the beginning of the season that are going to ultimately keep them from winning that, hitting that 60 number. I think they're going to win exactly 58.
Okay. Congratulations.
So
you just bet against
by a half game.
Congratulations. You just bet against LeBron James.
Well, if you took the over on any of those previous Miami seasons, you lost.
He won 58 games last year, and Wade played 2/3 of the season last year, and they won 58 games with one of the worst supporting casts, probably the worst supporting cast he's had in the last 7 years. They won 58. I don't see anyone beating them at home this year unless somebody's injured or unless it's just a great team playing really well. I think every one of these, I said this on the TV show last week, every one of these home games, I just feel like is going to be an event.
Well, I'm not rooting for them to lose games. I want them to win.
I'm excited.
Because I love what they've done. I'm excited to see this assembly.
I'm excited to go against you on this.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? Not only are we welcoming back the LBJ to Cleveland, but there's another welcome back, and that's to none other than Brendan Haywood back in the league, the B-Wiz back in the NBA, the backup center to Anderson Varejao. I'm sticking with my 58. I like my 58.
Come on, Tristan Thompson's the backup. Rich Paul just may or may not have planted a nice little story in one of those Cleveland papers over the weekend about how Tristan Thompson's the Horace Grant of this team.
Oh, okay.
It was great. Yeah, it was really funny. We're in a bad pace right now. I'm going over for Cleveland. Detroit, we can go quickly in this. Over 36. We both love the over. I just don't see Stan Van Gundy going 35-47 ever. Yeah,
that team to have a defense in the low 20s last year is just, that's a systematic and systemic failure. It's both of those kind of failures.
They're going to miss Jody Meeks for 6 to 8 weeks. He was the one spread the floor shooter they had, and I could see the first 2 months. No, Stuckey's on Indiana.
Stuckey's gone. That's right. I'm sorry.
They have
it's a lot of
KCP.
KCP.
Yeah, and Kyle Singler, who I've always kind of secretly liked. He's involved. Luigi De Tomei. They're in a little trouble at the small forward spot. The good news is that's the easiest position to upgrade.
I guess Jerebko can play small forward.
Well, they're in trouble there.
Okay.
They're going to go.
We both like the over.
They'll be in the high 30s. That's going to end up being one of our locks. Golden State, 51.5.
Wait. Why are you already?
You're right. I switched conferences.
You're
Indiana, 33.5.
Yeah,
is the over-under. And my apologies, Indiana. I feel terrible about the Paul George injury. I loved watching him play. You know how I feel about the city of Indianapolis and the state of Indiana. I love it there. I've enjoyed every trip I've ever been. You guys are going to stink this year, and it's just a fact. House?
It's just a fact. I mean, what we're looking at is a 23-24 less wins, and I can't come up with an argument for them to win 34 games.
It's an atrocious offensive team.
Atrocious. Capital A.
Talked about this with Jalen in our Bill and Jalen aborted preview. We talked about this with Zach Lowe in the league pass rankings. It's really hard for me to believe that Indiana thinks that, or is privately thinking that, just, let's try to win as many games as we can. If there was ever a year to bottom out, to try to get a top 5 pick, maybe to turn David West into an asset, like somebody like Cody Zeller. This is the year for them to just stink, and nobody would begrudge them anything if they did that.
And look, they have, their neighbors right there in Indianapolis have shown them the correct way to do that, right? In between the year that Peyton was hurt was an all-time tankopolis from the Colts, and they got, the best young quarterback in football.
Right. You seized the day when this is presented to you. You lost Lance. Yeah. You lost Paul George. You weren't very good offensively anyway, and now you lost your 2 creators. And I feel bad, but it's just the way it is. Look, here's the thing, Pacer fans. It's a 6-month season. By April, it'll be over, and you're going to get a top 5 lottery pick. And Paul George will come back 100%, and you'll be in great shape. The Miami Heat, 44.5.
It's really hard. That's a hard one, I have to tell you.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Because I can easily see them winning 45 games.
Right.
I mean, they have a lot of veteran talent on this team. Even if Dwayne Wade does his, now there's got to be the only way for them to be successful, which is 56 or 57 games in the regular season, kind of max. They still have enough around him. The McBob signing was good. Luol Deng is good. Bosch, as wanting by all indications the mantle of being the team leader. He's got skills. He's an inside-outside guy. I mean, he's not going back to the basket at all, but the problem they have is still point guard. It's just atrocious.
They're the worst point guards in the league.
They do.
LeBron did everything for that team last year, and he had a lot of weaknesses for a lot of guys. Here's my question with Chris Bosh. He's been making a big stink about how he's going to shine. He's a franchise player, all that stuff. Could he get more than 6 rebounds a game?
Well, Miami is one of those teams.
2 rebounds a quarter?
I listened and enjoyed. Listened to the podcast last week with H. Bob and Zach Lowe and you.
H. Bob, I like that.
Yeah, H. Bob. It's tough to really assign, rebounding deficiency to a guy like Bosch, who faces the basket and shot the most threes of his whole career last year.
Yeah.
Miami is last year's iteration was a rebound by zone kind of team, right? I mean, they defended into rebounds. The individual guys, nobody on that team smelled anywhere near double-digit rebounds.
Well, here's what they lost from last year's team. I just want to put it in perspective for everyone. They lost 27 points a game. They lost 7 rebounds a game and 6.5 assists a game and a steal and a half a game from the best player in the league, who had an unbelievable season, who handled the ball, who was able to play 3 positions, who guarded the other team's best player, who put the second best player on the team, Dwayne Wade, into a situation where he was going against the second best defensive perimeter player that the other team had. So that guy's gone. They lost Ray Allen, who was their best 3-point shooter. 3.75. Actually, LeBron was good too. They lost 3 threes a game between LeBron and Ray Allen. They added Luol Deng, who can't shoot threes. So they're not going to be able to shoot threes nearly as well.
They did pick up McBob, though, who was a sneaky good 3-point shooter.
Yeah. Let's look. I'm going to look at that.
I'm going to look him up, too.
McBob. Yeah, 36%. Put it this way, I never watched Josh McRoberts and said to myself, there's going to be a day when LeBron James leaves Miami, and who's going to soften the blow? Josh McRoberts.
Let's just take the under and move on.
Let's take the under. Here's the thing with that under. Wade has not proven to anybody that he can play 68 games in a season.
Right.
And I don't think that team can win if he's not playing.
Yeah, why? You don't like Shannon Brown and Reggie Williams?
No, I don't like anybody in that team. And I also don't. Everyone's talking about Chris Bosh is going to go back to his Toronto days. His Toronto days were 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
He's a year 12 for him. I don't see it. I can't wait to call in Le Batard show once a month and just make fun of that team. Please invite me.
He's not going to let you on. He won't have it.
He won't. He won't let me on. He'll ban me from the show. They're going to play this on their radio show and mock me. I don't care. You guys had a good run. 4 straight years, and now you're irrelevant. Good luck.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. The Milwaukee Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
This seems really low. Really, really low. 24.5.
I got trapped. I'm not going to forgive them for last year.
They killed us last year.
That team on paper. Go ahead.
Well, we just had the wrong team. We knew there was going to be some sort of wild card party crasher in the Eastern Conference playoffs, and we picked Milwaukee, and it turned out to be Charlotte. I have no regrets.
Yeah. I mean, it took an enormous regression from Larry Sanders and Ilyasova, and Zaza didn't get any run. And
Fat O.J. Mayo. Don't forget Fat O.J. Mayo.
I know. Fat O.J. Mayo sat on the whole thing and let out a stinky. That's what happened. Put a stinky right on the whole thing.
I was reading I'm going to find it. Here's how you know it was a lousy year for O.J. Mayo. Here's the headline for their preseason. USA Today. Slimmer O.J. Mayo kicks off season with Bucks. Oh, great. Congratulations on getting in shape, O.J., you dog. Making $8 million a year.
Great.
Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. I showed up 20 pounds overweight last year. He should be ashamed of himself. I think that's my number one pet peeve.
Not.
No, he's not. But that's my number one pet peeve in life as a sports fan, when a professional athlete shows up completely out of shape. That's their only job, is to stay in shape. What other job do you have?
The thing that is especially galling for guys like him and Ray Felton, those guys are guards, right? They're not great big guys where it's hard to move weight, right, on and off. You just got to run a little bit, right? Can you run a little?
Come on, O.J. Mayo. I think they have too many good players to lose 58 to 60 games, especially in that conference. I mean, and Kid's going to have something to prove. They have new owners. They have Jabari, who's going to be excellent in spurts. I don't know if he's going to win Rookie of the Year, but he'll have some really good games. Mm-hmm. He'll have games where he has 30. They have a lot of, they have guys who can get hot. Like Mayo can get hot. Chris Middleton can get hot. Sanders can have those games where I have 20 rebounds and 7 blocks. Like, I mean,
this is sounding so much like last year. We talked ourselves into it. I'm holding a grudge. I'm taking a grudge under.
Oh,
I'm taking under from last year. That's my punishment.
Well, one of the problems last year was that their coach was awful.
Yes, he was.
This team's a year away from being interesting, but I also think that they're going to end up in the high 20s. And they remind me of my golf game right now. Actually, you're going to like this analogy. Yeah, you don't want me. You don't want me for 18 holes. I'm going to self-destruct in 3 or 4 of those 18. I just am. I'm going to get a triple bogey or a quadruple bogey. I'm going to hit a ball in the water. It's going to happen. But you want me as your best ball partner.
Oh.
You want me 5, 6, 7 holes of the 18.
Moments of brilliance.
Yeah. I'm going to hit 3 great shots, and I'm going to get us a par, and I might even get us a birdie, and I'm going to look awesome for a half hour.
Why don't we put this to the test? Let's pair up. Let's go take somebody on.
I am a good best ball partner.
Who should we challenge? I mean, let's get this going.
It's going to happen. But I feel that way about the Bucks. They're going to have nights where they look awful. They're going to get blown out by 30 every once in a while. But they're going to have those best ball games where all of a sudden it's like, oh, the Bucks shot a birdie today. And I think that happens 27 or 28 times.
Okay. Well, I'm sticking with my grudge under.
Okay. Even after my awesome best ball analogy?
It was a great analogy. You made many compelling points. I regret already taking the under, but, what can I say? I'm bitter like that.
Knicks over 41. I have no idea what to do with this one. There's a chance this team could just be a train wreck. The J.R. Smith quote the other day about how he's never had to worry about the team over his own offense anymore was an all-timer and made me really wonder where the season is going for them.
The thing that's kind of crazy with them is to take the over, you have to believe they're going to be 5 games better than they were last year. And the question I have is, where are those 5 games coming from?
I don't. And Derek Fisher, you'd have to say the upgrade of Mike Woodson to Derek Fisher, who we've never seen coach ever.
Yeah.
And they lost. I didn't think Tyson Chandler had a very good year last year, but he wasn't terrible either. Who is their rim protector?
I mean, it's obviously Sam Dallenberg, right?
He's been on every team in the league.
That's a joke. He's not a rim protector.
Oh, I mean, but that's the answer. Unfortunately, the answer is Sam Dallenberg.
Right.
So, I just think the Lakers and Knicks, it's going to be a layup line against those teams.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Who is the above average? Who is the above average defensive player on this Knicks team?
You have to. The only choice you have is Shumpert, right?
Right.
The only guy you could say.
Who, if he was on Orlando or Utah or wherever, nobody would have had a single conversation about him ever at any point. He'd just be no different than Alec Burks or a million guys who are in the league. Calderon is, I've always enjoyed Calderon's game, but you cannot have him on your team if you don't have a backbone behind him defensively. He's one of the worst defensive point guards in the league.
And
oh, go ahead.
He seems like a terrible match for this team's offensive strengths. I like Calderon as a table setting guy, right? I mean, he really flourished with Dirk and with Monte last year. I don't like at all having him try to set the table for Melo.
Carmelo takes heat for his defense. It's not as bad as people think. It's not great. He's probably middle of the road. Bargnani is an affront to any defense that's ever been played over the last 100 years. He's just one of the worst. And J.R. Smith kind of intermittently tries on defense. I certainly wouldn't call him a good defensive player. And Amari stopped playing defense 10 years ago. I think this team's going to be awful. Everyone's talking about the triangle. How is this team going to get a stop? 41 seems 5 wins too high to me. It's a possible lock.
This is wow. Yeah.
It's a possible
we might
lock.
Talk ourselves into
they won 36 games last year, and they're worse.
Yeah, they're worse.
36 and 46 last year. Carmelo's a year older.
Let's just call it. It's a lock. I love it.
Well, here's why it's not a lock.
Lock.
Here's why it's not a lock. Because what if they trade for Rondo in January?
See.
What if they trade for Darren Williams, or who the hell knows? Like, who knows what they have? They have $40 million in expiring contracts.
Yeah, it's the Knicks, and they don't care about spending money. They're happy
No, they
to spend
don't.
money.
That's why, to me, it's not
money.
a lock, because I think it's a lock if I knew this was the roster. I don't trust that this is the roster.
Great point. Excellent point. Not a lock.
Thank you.
Are we sticking with the under for now?
Oh, hell yeah. I just don't think it's a lock. But I don't know who's on this team in February.
That's a good point.
Orlando, 27. I don't know what to do with this one. I like the talent on the team. I think Alfred Payton's going to be the rookie of the year. I think they have, now that Ty Corbin is gone, I think they have the worst coach in the league.
To take the over, again, you need to come up with 5 wins. And the question is, where are those 5 wins coming from?
I'm going under.
Say again.
I'm going under. I don't think they're interested in winning this year. This team is on this just perpetual let's keep stinking and adding lottery picks plan. And at some point they're going to snap out of it. I don't know what year that's going to be, but it's not going to be this year.
Yeah, they have some interesting young pieces, but they're still 2 or 3 steps away from, showing us anything that looks like, the corner is approaching. We might turn the corner because, Peyton, who knows? Oladipo's already out for a stretch.
Yep.
Is somebody else on there on Orlando hurt now also? In any event, we're agreed on under.
I think their feelings are hurt. Channing Frye will help. I like Tobias Harris a lot. Aaron Gordon is just going to be just energy defense in the alley-oops and has a chance to shoot 30% from the free throw line this year. It's a team that the pieces are there, but it's a year away, and they'll get a real coach a year from now. And if I was a coach that wanted a job and like to mold a nice team, this would be the team I'd want to coach.
Can we spend 30 seconds on Channing Frye?
Yeah.
Why did they do that?
Because the advanced stats say that he's the ultimate stretch big and a great pick and pop guy.
I know that was true for Phoenix, and we will get to Phoenix soon enough. And I have nothing but criticism for the direction that they're headed in. And I didn't think Channing Frye was expendable in any way, shape, or form for Phoenix. But what the hell is he going to do for Orlando?
Get paid, cash checks, and shoot threes in that order.
Maybe he's a trade chip, like he's a sign and trade guy, the way that Denver signed Nene and then traded him to the Wiz, 3 or 4 months later.
I got to say, I like that signing more than you because he's a veteran. And when you have a young team like that, you need a couple of dudes who can handle their business and know what they're doing.
You don't think Ben Gordon's going to provide that leadership?
I don't think that. Let's quickly skimp over so we're going under on the Magic. Sixers over 15.5. I just can't in good conscience. I wouldn't make it a lock, but I just can't take the over for any number with this mess of a team. Right?
The one thing I will say, I really am excited to see Nerlens Noel. I honestly think he has, I keep saying honestly, he has legit shot at Rookie of the Year to me. I loved his game at Kentucky, and I think that he arrives with a head start over all the other rookies because he's already been there in Philly, learned the system, practiced with these guys, and he gets rookie treatment. I like him as a Rookie of the Year candidate.
So he is plus 550. Jabari is plus 200. Elfrid's down to 15-1. And where's Exum? Exum climbed to 20-1. Exum has I like Exum. He has no chance to win Rookie of the Year. He won't play enough. Marcus Smart at 13-1 is interesting too, but the Nerlens odds are interesting because he could play 35 to 40 minutes a game, get a double-double, 2 blocks a game, some dunks. I'm not against it.
I think he's already a poor man's Anthony Davis.
I love Jabari, but I think the expectations for him this season are a little unrealistic. This is a guy who, went into 2 different funks during the Duke season last year, playing ACC. Was having trouble just getting a shot off in ACC games and could not cover anybody. So I like him. I think he's going to be an excellent pro someday, but I think to just pencil him in as the Rookie of the Year favorite is crazy. If you're just reading all the stories, Elfrid Payton's getting the most buzz out of anybody other than Jabari, just in terms of just how good people around the team think he is. And he's going to have the ball in his hands all the time.
You just made a point. It doesn't hurt to be the guy that touches the ball every single possession.
So what do we do with Philly? Do we go over or under? 15-67 is that's it's one of the all-time worst records if they go 15-67.
How can they win 16 games? MCW and Nerlens go crazy.
The second half of last year, I think they were 4-40, something like that.
Is there any possibility Embiid comes back before the All-Star break?
Yeah, no, they won't do that. They want to lose again. I'm going under, but I don't feel great.
I'm going under also. It's not a lock. Because it's extraordinary to win to lose so many games.
2 more Eastern teams. We're off schedule by about 5 minutes here. Toronto is 48. Damn, it's right where it should be.
I agree. I'm taking the over for Toronto because I don't go against Drake on anything. Other than shooting from the elbow. Goodness gracious, did you see that air ball? Come on, Drake.
I'm going under.
Oh, you're going against Drake.
I wouldn't bet on it. I just think because over is 49-33. That's a really good record, and I don't think they're one of the best 12 teams in the league. So
they won 48 last year.
Yeah, weaker conference. The Conference is a little better this year.
You sticking with under?
Yeah, nobody's shown me how they're better than last year. It seems like they just brought the same team back. And if you're saying, well, here's how they're going to be better.
Well, first of all, Lou Williams. Lewis, I called him. I think that's a help at shooting guard.
Lou Williams single-handedly destroyed the Hawks in that round 1 playoff series last year.
They win 7 games.
Here's how. Remember? And Lou Williams ruined their chance to win in 6. I thought he had a terrible year last year. I don't think he's been the same since his knee injury, personally.
I think this is a team that having had the taste, they had that look through that series of being right on the brink, and nobody just sort of grabbed the thing and took them over the top with it. I think now that they've had a taste, I like them to just be out there TCOB and taking care of the business. I
They'll
like
be
them
in the high 40s.
49.
Okay. I think that they have a lot of expectation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not positive how they got better, and I think the team around them is better. Also, Kyle Lowry getting paid. I want to see him continue to play with the same vigor now that he's been paid.
Well, now he's been paid. Now he wants that All-Star nod that he was deprived of last year.
Sounds
and Valanciunas was awesome in the FIBAs.
Listen, if
so
they go
awesome
40,
that Boogie almost punched him.
They go 46 and 36. That's a good season, and they would be 2 under the under.
I'm gonna stick with the over.
Okay.
I'm down. I'm down with the Drakes.
Washington Wiz 47.5. Your team.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take the under.
What?
As a self-defense mechanism.
Okay.
The Brad Beal injury. Don't love it. Not a big fan of it. Obviously, I'm over the top, overjoyed with the way that the Ariza Paul Pierce thing went. I mean, it's just so out of character for this Washington team
to make a smart move.
I mean, and it came right on the heels of overpaying and overyearing Gortat by such an exponent. But you knew that was coming, right? I mean, you could have called that in January that they were going to overpay and overextend Gortat.
I'm ashamed to be your friend right now. We've been friends since 1988. This is the most promising Washington professional basketball season you've had since you were 10 years old, and you just went under. And it wasn't even a huge under. It was 47.5, and you went under anyway.
Because I think they're going on 47 games, which should be good enough for the third or fourth.
Okay, well, you know what?
East.
I have the over, and I look forward to throwing it in your face. I just think they're going to be really good. I think they have an identity. I think they're deep. I love the Humphreys and Blair signings. I thought that if those guys are your 9th and 10th men, you're in really good shape. Last year, you're playing Drew Gooden in the last minute of a playoff game. Chris Humphreys was good on the Celtics last year as for what he was.
Here's the constraint. They were, and I've been saving the stat, they were the worst team of all of the playoff teams in set plays coming out of a timeout.
Wait, so you're throwing the Randy Whitman thing at me?
That runs to one person and one person only, right?
Yeah.
That's my limiting factor. That guy, the Whit face. The Whit face is going to keep him in that 47, 48, 49 tops range.
He's your own Ned Yost. It's like you have Ned Yost running your team.
This isn't a team that's going to excel with that degree of difficulty. It doesn't need any additional degrees of difficulty. I'm sticking with the under just because I'll be disappointed. I'll be pleased to be wrong.
That's such a
It'll
lame.
make me happy to be wrong.
That's so lame.
It's a defense mechanism. It's survival
That's so
instinct.
lame.
It's survival instinct. Look,
this is like what Claire Danes would say on Homeland. Just like a lame Claire Danes move. Call you Claire for the rest of the contest. Did you watch what happened
to the Washington Nationals in the baseball playoffs? I mean, come on. I was at, the 18-inning game.
Are you watching Homeland?
Bad out there, freezing cold.
Are you watching Homeland?
Yes, it's unwatchable.
It's quietly become one of the worst shows on television, and they thought it was a good idea to have Claire Danes have sex with the Mideastern kid from $1 Million Arm. For some reason, they thought this was a great plot.
It's astonishing.
That show is horrible. I love The Affair, though. Are you watching The Affair?
Yeah, of course, all the affair.
The affair's great. What kind of things do you say to your wife during the affair to make her think that you're not going to have an affair? Because my wife watches it, and it's like the guy on the show just represents all men.
I don't say anything, and I don't make eye contact. 1 whole hour sitting on the same couch, watching the same TV, no eye contact or words spoken for an hour.
I try to make jokes. I just make a lot of jokes during it.
Yeah, that's good.
I've like
dies.
Anytime Joshua Jackson's on, I just make Dawson Creek's jokes. I got to go. Vanderbeek's on the phone. Like, I'm just like trying to lighten the mood the entire time.
Yeah.
He's also one of the worst cheaters ever, the guy in the show.
He's a terrible cheater.
Terrible cheater. Like, what are you doing? But then you can't say that because then your wife's like, why do you know who's a good cheater? It's not
Don't
that.
say
It's
a
like
word. Just
you're
sit
in
there saying,
Montauk.
"Why, oh boy, this is the playbook of how to get caught."
You're in Montauk. It's this little tiny town. You're pulling this girl behind like the fire engine sign so you can make out with her. It's like, what are you doing?
That is a plea for help. It's a plea for please catch me.
Yeah, it's a good show. I really like it.
We're enjoying it.
The Affair. He's having an affair. It's great. All right, so the Wizards, you're going over and I'm going under. Are you watching Walking Dead? Around. I'm going over, you're going under. Are you watching Walking Dead?
No, I missed the beginning, and so I'm out.
You're out on the greatest show on TV?
I'm just it's like Lost. I didn't watch any of Lost. I have to get all the way caught up. I have the box set.
Oh yeah, like you're going to watch that.
Someday.
Do you think, would you have made the guy's wife on The Affair, would you have made her cuter so it was more unrealistic that he was cheating on her, or gone the other way?
I actually think they hit a home run with her. I think she's
good.
Perfect. She's right in that
I agree. I agree.
Cute, naughty class.
Yeah. Cute, naughty, but maybe they kind of ran out of steam a while ago, and now he's kind of looking around for weird waitresses with a lot of baggage.
Yes.
The one character that doesn't make sense in The Affair is I guess there's no other word to say it, like the promiscuous daughter, right? She's ready to bring
I knew you were going to say her. We don't have confirmation that she's promiscuous, right?
Well, she was bringing a guy upstairs at that giant Montauk party the grandparents were having. Why was she bringing an adult male up? I'm just if I'm the guy in this show, the entire time I would just be freaking out about my daughter. And instead, this guy's like, I'm going to go to the library to research this book I have no idea for. And if you see me like hiding behind a tree with a waitress, like I'm interviewing her for.
That's part of the research.
And his stupid wife's like, "Hey, did you find out any good info at the town meeting today?"
They're also doing this good thing with that wife. She's a good wife. She's not a bad wife.
Yeah, I already feel bad that what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, if that was my family, the whole time I would be just upset about my daughter. That's it. That's all I would think about. I'd be like, oh my God, I've just failed so miserably and terribly as a parent. Like I don't even want to.
They need to do a better job of establishing that he gives a shit about his family.
Yeah, because I'm not convinced.
It's a little lacking.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I don't feel like he does. If you could compare, I think we end this podcast and then we start a second podcast. I think we go to a part 2.
Terrific.
So let's recap the East. Hawks. Over under is, hold on, let me get my computer right here. Sorry, I was just hitting on a waitress diner. I lost my track of mine here.
I have it. Do you want me to do it?
No, I got it. Right. Hawks 43.5. I like the over. You like the under?
Yes.
Celtics 27.5. We both like the under.
Yes.
Brooklyn 42. We like the over, but we don't feel good about it.
You're right.
Charlotte 44.5. We both like the over.
We do.
Possible lock, but we'll get back to that.
Possible lock.
Chicago 55.5. You like the over? I like the under. We disagreed on it.
We did.
Almost vehemently, not quite vehemently.
No.
Cleveland, over under 58.5. I obviously went over since they employ the best player in the league and one of the 7 best players in the league, Kevin Love, or one of the 10, wherever you want to put him, plus Kyrie Irving, who's Mario Chalmers on his greatest day ever, 40 times a year. You were not as impressed. You went against David Blatt. You didn't respect his Maccabi El Daviv team. What was that team? Maccabi?
Yeah, that one. Yeah. I don't have
you didn't respect his work on that team? You're not watching the YouTube clips?
I respect the hell out of him. I respect everything that Cleveland did. I just think, you got to allow for a little bit of time for it to come together, for it to gel. Okay. So I want to see it. I want to see the beautiful bouillabaisse. I want to have a taste of it once it's had an hour or two to cook.
Okay. Well, you went under. You think they're going to lose at least 24 times, which is ludicrous. I can't wait to go head-to-head with you on that one.
They have to play the West, remember.
Great. Detroit over 36. We both love it. Yeah. Probable lock for us. Just a blind Stan Van Gundy pick. It's like when Jacoby and I are at lunch and soup of the day. He just goes blind on the soup of the day. Oh. Just plays the percentages that the soup's going to be good because it's the soup of the day. The chef cared enough to be like, hey, I'm making the soup of the day today. I want it to be good. I'm going blind on Stan Van Gundy with over 36.
I'm blind on Stan Van Gundy going over 36 also. I'm stunned by this soup thing, and we'll have to save that for another time to talk.
The only time I've seen it backfire on Jacoby is the Italian wedding soup.
Well, see, here's the thing. It's extremely restaurant specific. Like, you can't just walk into any restaurant and say, give me the soup of the day.
I'm not saying he's doing it at, like, Carl's Jr. Like, it's any, decent to better lunch place. He goes blind
that you guys trust otherwise?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you already trust the place, because, what you're having when you have the soup of the day is the leftovers from, whatever they do. They chop up the chicken from the chicken Florentine that they didn't sell out of.
Well, that's why if the Italian wedding soup is the soup, it's a backfire of all-time backfires.
Yeah.
That's like, hey, it's the meatballs from 3 days ago. Just sitting in a broth for a while with some vegetables.
Minestrone worries me as well. Same principle.
We taped House Eats 5.
Yeah,
House Eats 4 never aired. House Eats 5 was in Austin, Texas this summer. And we're almost done with the cut. That will be premiering in November. Oh, yeah.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's almost done. Harlan's been working on it like Francis Ford Coppola worked on Godfather 2.
It requires that kind of time, love, and attention.
So what's our next over-under that we had?
Cleveland. Detroit, 36 we did.
We love the Indiana under.
Yep. Under
33.5. Just total respect to the Indiana fans. We love Indiana basketball. We love Naptown.
We do.
It's in your best interest not to be good this year, and you need to embrace that. Miami, under 44.5. Possible lock. We'll get back to it. Milwaukee, I have the over at 24.5. You have the under.
I do. The grudge under.
Knicks under 41. We almost made this a lock, but they're going to make a trade. Orlando, 27. We both have under.
We both have under.
Philly is 15.5. We both have the under.
Toronto, an uneasy under.
Toronto 48. I'm under. You're over. Wizards 47.5. I'm over. You're under. So basically, we're going head to head on Toronto and Washington.
Fun.
And for some reason, lifelong Washington Bullets / Wizards fan Joe House is on the Toronto side. So great on that. Why don't you just move there?
I took Drake. I choose Drake. It's really Drake versus Wale, and I love Wale, but come on.
Well, ironically, you started out at the bottom as a Wizards fan, and now you're here.
I can't believe I just laughed at that. So awful.
Who's my worst joke of the come? Who do you think dies in Who do you think dies in the affair?
I asked you that. I asked you that question. I think it's
the guy who owns the. I think it's the guy who owns the diner.
Yeah, that was the other candidate. I posed that to my wife. She didn't think so. So now I'm thinking it's Cole.
I think
the guy that runs the diner is going to be the main suspect for killing Cole because Cole's in the way of his bowling alley.
Who's Cole? Joshua Jackson?
Yeah, Joshua Jackson.
We don't call him Cole. We call him Pacey. He's nobody. He's always Pacey. He's going to be Pacey for his whole life. I don't care. They can call him Cole on the show. I know him as Pacey.
Yeah.
All right, so locks. Our possible locks are Charlotte, Detroit, and Indiana. I would rather not have Charlotte as a lock.
I am going to stand right there with you. I would rather not. I just rather root for them to be over and not feel like I'm invested in it. So
let's just do two locks. We'll do Detroit over 36 and Indiana under 33.5 as our two locks.
Great.
Does that sound good to you?
Yes.
We're going to wrap up part 1 of the BS report. Part 2 coming up, the Western Conference over-unders with our good buddy Joe House. Joe House, any last World Series thoughts? Game 6 tonight in Kansas City?
I've been rooting for the Royals, but I respect the hell out of the Giants. All they do is get it done. I love Hunter Pence. I've come around. Hunter Pence did this chant for the Giants. So the Giants, when they were here in Washington, this story is going to take too long. At the beginning of the series, Tim Hudson said, talent only takes you so far in the playoffs. Sometimes it comes down to what you have between your legs. And that got a little run here in the local Washington press. And then at the end of the series, Hunter Pence went into his locker room and led his team in a chant of, "Do we have big balls?" with a Daniel Bryan, "Yes, yes, yes."
That's great.
So I like the Giants.
I thought you were going to say he did the tuck dance like James Gum.
I'm glad he didn't do that, although I could see it. He looks like the kind of guy who would do the tuck dance.
The Hunter Pence tuck dance.
He's comfortable with, do we have big balls? And he's also comfortable with the tuck dance. Hunter Pence.
James Gum, the greatest character who never got spun off into his own movie.
That's for the best.
So we have to finish this Western thing. Maybe we'll put this part 1 up Tuesday morning, and then we'll tape the other one after. Sal and I have the Royals 18-1 to win the World Series. And Ned Yost just basically grabbed into my wallet and just took big wads of $20 bills out of it, and I'll never forgive him.
I've been rooting for you. It's as much as it's his fault. I mean, James Shields is just a shell of himself.
Yeah, is there a worse nickname than Big Game James? I know people have made that joke, but can we officially retire Big Game James? And can James Worthy sue him? Can James Worthy sue him?
If he trademarked it, he should have trademarked it.
Big Game James? Come on. Because
Worthy really was Big Game James. Shields, not so much.
Do something, James Shields. I thought it's funny, watching Game 3 on Friday night, I thought they should have brought Finnegan in for the 6th.
Uh-huh.
And then they didn't, but they somehow escaped. They won. Game 4, they bring in Finnegan, and he blows the game and changes the series. So maybe Ned Yost is playing with a tougher deck of cards than we realized.
Well, he certainly has his own challenges.
Baseball is a ridiculous sport. The Royals should have lost that wild card game 5 different times, and now if they just win 2 games at home, they're the World Series champs.
So you're complaining? That's an old guy complaint. You don't.
No, it's not an old guy complaint. It's just it is what the sport is at this point. It's totally random.
At this point, right? It's
hot for 3
different
weeks.
than how we grew up. When we grew up, the 162 games mattered. The 162 games do not matter anymore.
They don't matter.
They barely matter.
And what matters is that you have somebody like Bumgarner gets hot for 4 weeks. I mean, he's a great pitcher anyway, but he just lights out right now versus Clayton Kershaw got hot in June, and that did the Dodgers no good, Yeah,
the traits that a team needs to be successful in this little tournament format are so radically different from the traits that a team needs to be successful over 162 games.
Yeah.
And, you're seeing Madison Bumgarner is going to end up pitching, 7 times in 3 weeks, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Or 8 times, some crazy number of appearances that's completely out of whack with, how often, the schedule in the regular season.
Are the Giants a dynasty to you if they win 3 times in 5 years?
Sure, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like we need a word that is less than dynasty, but is another word that kind of means like a budding dynasty or a pseudo dynasty or
like a legacy team.
Yeah, something.
Try and come up with a word.
Like the
something that's positive.
Yeah, like the the Yankees won 4 in 5 years. And I wouldn't call that a dynasty either. I just think that's a great run. The Patriots won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. They weren't a dynasty.
Yeah.
Like that, the Russell Celtics won 8 straight titles. They won 11 in 13 years. Like, that's a dynasty. You know?
Well, so, who in modern sports would you say fits the dynasty?
That's what I'm saying. I think we need a different word that captures like the level below being a dynasty.
Sustained greatness. That's not
like a
quite
kick-ass
dynasty.
team. Somebody that owned a half a decade owner. Yeah.
I mean, the curious thing is the Spurs are the closest thing to a dynasty to me, but
and they are in a dynasty.
I know, because there was big gaps between their championship rings.
Lakers won 3 straight finals, made the finals 4 times in 5 years. I don't feel like they were a dynasty. The Bulls 6 and 8. That's probably a dynasty. Like, they dominated that decade.
That's true. The Bulls are the last true dynasty.
Yes, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So we need some other word. If you care, send us some suggestions. We'll be back with Joe House, NBA Over-Unders, Part 2, the much more interesting Western Conference. Stay tuned for that. Hopefully coming before the start of the NBA season, if not Wednesday morning. Until then, take care.
Target percent off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.